play with the designer templates. I think that's what is so fun about this event in general, because I never know quite what I'm going to do as far as what I'm going to create or anything like that. So it really is just us going through using the designer templates, the spotlighted sets for this month. So for the month of May, the spotlighted sets are McKay Blvd, which is a border set, and Tiny Travel. And each month we choose spotlighted sets that we like to kind of zero in and, you know, challenge ourselves. I guess you could call it a challenge, just to see what you can create with those sets. And those of you that are club members, we do also pick these based off of those themes, which all with the goal of helping and motivating each of us to make some time in this month to create a few scrapbooking pages to accomplish that, but also to enjoy that process along the way. And so I, of course, have those out. I'm going to probably start with the spotlighted sets, showcase what you can do with just a few sets. So if you're new to Kiwi Lane, feel free to throw any comments or questions you might have in the chat, and I'll try to catch those. So this is a great opportunity to do that here during this live event. But for the most part, hopefully you can see as we are creating, utilizing the designer templates, how simple and inspiring the process is. And at the same time, discover some fun design ideas to use on your next scrapbooking pages. All right, so let me go ahead and change the view here to the overview. Okay, it looks like we're already there. Perfect. All right. So again, here's a border set. This is the McKay Blvd. If you have it in your stash, month of May is a great time to pull it out. You'll probably see a lot of inspiration and ideas from just community members, creative partners using this set throughout the month. And it's a really fun one. It layers really beautiful together and just kind of has its own movement and life when you add it to your designs. All right, so this of course has 3 different pairs in one of our 12-inch border sets, and the borders have a side A and a side B. I will go over that because this is very important, again, for those that might be new. Actually, let me know if you are new to Kiwi Lane and still kind of getting the process down, let me know, and I'll make sure to cover that, some of those cutting phases. But for the most part for this event, we'll stay on the designing phase. Unless I see someone mention they're not familiar with that, then I'll cover that here at the end. All right, so typically how I start, and just kind of my process and method, is to start playing with the templates themselves. This helps eliminate, of course, staring at an empty page, you guys, but with the borders, you really can, you see it, now you see it, right? Like you could see a design start coming together, and this is where it's really going to help in that designing phase. So with the borders, you can kind of think of it as like a frame for your photos. And so it helps give you that visual design to kind of work around. And really that's what just any type of creativity is, just taking the elements, rearranging them in a new fashion. And this is going to be up to you as you personally design with them. You can do top, bottom, left, right. I'm going to stay on the borders for a moment before we start kind of expounding on the options, because it really is endless. I feel like even after years and years of creating pages with a variety of different designer templates, I'm still amazed at the variations of designs I see individuals share in the community. But the layering is super easy as well, right? So you really get those borders really complement each other. And I love that about McKay. It has its own little personality to this design. And sure, you can mix and match the sets, but like I said, I'm going to stay with McKay Blvd just so that we can really expand on the potential of just even this one set. Which, if you're one that often gets overwhelmed or get distracted, like by all the options, then this is what this is so nice about, is just focusing in on some spotlighted sets. Maybe you get overwhelmed with how many options there are to scrapbook. This is why I love the Kiwi Club kit for me personally. It gives me a roadblock, a roadmap, and some focus for that month. And then I kind of just find the pictures to work with that. Same manner, it could be, what sets? And you just pull a few sets out and see what you can accomplish with those few sets instead of overthinking it all and, trying to just think of every single option. Just see what you can come up with and then go with it. And that's truly what I suggest and that's what I try to accomplish myself when I sit down to scrapbook. Really enjoy the process instead of overthinking the process. So here is a really nice, like layered look. And you can imagine now that we can see this design, of course, really, filling in any of those spaces. It's been kind of a hot minute, I'll be honest, since I've done like a true triple layer. Well, and not layer, but triple borders where I've used all 3 pairs from one border. Sometimes I'll do one layout where I just use one border, the next one I'll use the next one. But even just seeing this, it really excites me and I love the look of it. It has a lot of movement. And then really, once you kind of build that frame, I'm going to throw in some photo sets. So I do use my photo sets in all of my layout designs. So that's why we don't do them as a spotlight set, because it's kind of a need. You need it and necessary. So I highly recommend the photo sets to give you that complete look. And I'm just going to play around with photo options. This feels a little awkward for me personally, floating over here. So I'm going to try to structure them a little bit differently. See if I can feel the space in a manner that, kind of cohesively feels that for me as a designer. And this is going to be different for each one of us as we create with the designer templates as that designing tool, but also just create with these sets alone. The options are endless. So I'm excited for you to try just focusing in on these spotlighted sets this month and see what you can create with them. It really is a fun challenge. All right. And it's not fair. I don't feel like challenge is the right word, but we're going to go with it because it's just, I think it's the focus that it gives you. And sometimes we need that. We need to lessen our options and just kind of focus in. And so I really love playing with the spotlighted sets for the month. And then, of course, just kind of seeing what I can make of them. Then at that point, let's pull in some tiny travel. So tiny travel is the other spotlighted sets. So I'm going to just create a few pages just using these 2 sets. Then I will go ahead and throw in the Kiwi Club templates into the mix. Because for me, if you're a club member, which I love, it's so fun and rewarding for me to create those layouts every month. And I hope that those of you that are club members enjoy it as well. That's what I focus on every month is whatever the spotlighted sets are. And then I pull up my kit and I am creating consistent pages every month. I'm not waiting for the next crop. I'm not, doing that. I'm making the time on my calendar, and it makes such a huge difference, not only in the, as you grow in your own skill sets and you're enhancing your layouts, but you're also growing in how much you're accomplishing in a given time frame. And so it's double serving in that. Okay, so really what I'm doing here with these little elements is I'm just adding little accent pieces, and that's really any type of an accessory. The great thing about the designer templates, these little guys, of course, you can use them over and over again. You can find different combinations with the layers that you make. I was just looking at this thinking, what would it be like if you had like a background and then kind of doubled up on that? That could be really cute. A little pop-up, I love some pop-ups, so that's good. But for the most part, you're just adding a little touch of elements wherever you see. But since I did a nice triple border here with all 3 borders, I'm really feeling like I actually like that there. I love this little arrow in Tiny Travel. That my page, I feel like my page is really full and it doesn't need much. And I think that's what's nice about the tiny versions of these accessory sets is that it gives you a little bit of character, a little bit of touch without consuming your page or the memories. Ultimately, the people in the memories with you, right? That really are the substance of your layout. And that's what really takes this creation to a whole new level, is when you add those pictures, which is what makes scrapbooking so wonderful. It's such a beautiful hobby. All right, so here we go. Okay, now I'm going to clear this canvas. We're going to do it again. And then, like I said, I want to do one more just for fun, just to see. And then we will throw in another set into the mix and just kind of keep the versions or options as we progress what can be accomplished. All right, little bit of order to the madness. So let me pull out the borders again. I'm going to keep my A and B together. And again, this is where when you're designing a 2-page layout, you can really spread it across a 2-page spread. The borders help give you that instant balance. And then of course, when you cut them out, let me actually I'll just clarify that. I don't see anyone in the comment per se, but it's a very important thing to understand why you're putting a 2B and 2A. It doesn't matter if this is 2A over here and 2B or 2A and 2B. What really I want to emphasize whenever we're sharing with the borders their features is that we do recommend to keep them separate on a 2-page spread. You can do a 1-pager and keep them up top bottom. If you want to do just one border on a 1-pager, that's fine too. But ultimately, if you did want to use both, what's really great about it is in a very efficient use of your paper and very simple to take that starting design concept and turn it into that finished result. And the way you're going to do that is you're just going to trace, cut, ink, replace. So once you have that design done, which is pretty much that most of the time consuming aspect of any type of creating phase, you kind of want to bring that into existence. So you trace it, and then I just make a mark right here. This is what I suggest. Where you make that mark, you're going to do a straight cut with your paper trimmer, and then you would follow that line and you cut it once up the center. But when you cut it once, you're going to get the 2 pieces, right? So then when you go to replace it, you will replace it on each side of your layout. So that's the general concept of the borders, how you go from design concept to that finished result. And very simple, very easy to accomplish. Doesn't take a manual or anything. It's just that. It's just what I showed you. Design, trace, cut, ink, replace. All right. So let's go. I did do a triple. It's so tempting with McKay Blvd. I find that interesting as I'm sitting here just playing with these templates. How tempted I am to add more layers with McKay Blvd. Another fun thing I love to do with the borders in general, it doesn't matter what border it is, but the McKay Blvd is kind of this back to back. So maybe we'll go that way with this page design, is more of this back to back border lining here. And you can just see how simple, and it just really helps create a beautiful frame for a scrapbook page for your layouts there. So creating a scrapbooking pages with ease with the borders is so nice. And the beautiful frame of your photos take your scrapbooking layout kind of to that next level. All right. So then again, I personally like to add a little bit of photos to kind of, it's not even like borders, photos, accessories, even though that's kind of the steps that I use to keep me kind of moving momentum forward on my page and to get myself kind of into the motion and the groove of creating that page every time I sit down to scrapbook. It's more of a matter of nothing's permanent with the designer templates. We literally are just visualizing. So if I wanted to start with some borders over here and I have, well, let me start adding in a theme. And again, travel, kind of that travel feel. You could start saying, okay, well, let me throw some in, and you can do this and kind of move it over here. So that it's really the mixture of just playing on the canvas and moving things around that will spark just inspiration. So feel free to kind of flow or follow that wherever it may lead you. There really is no wrong. You can't go wrong either way. And it's, like I said, it's going to be a complete preference. But for the most part, I usually start with my borders. I throw in some photos. And then if I see an opportunity or a need to rearrange in the middle of that process, I'll rearrange. I'll say, okay, you know what? Something else just came to mind, and that inspiration will start sparking, and you can follow it. You can lean into it and see where it takes you. So just keep that in mind as you are also playing with the designer templates and using them as that kind of guide for your design. I was just thinking, look at a thought that just came into my mind. I saw this airplane here and I thought, oh, wait, hold on. It might be cute to have like the little dots or something. And so instantly my mind said, oh, what if I put it down here and I'm using this dark background? I could almost doodle some lines on here. So that popped into my mind while I was sitting here. And so that altered my decision-making on some of those things. And I may go with it or I may not, but that just kind of shows where those thoughts will pop into your mind as you're placing down and giving yourself an opportunity to kind of view it and see it, and then discover it as you go along. Okay. Okay. So like I can even see something cute. I love Tiny Travel 4T. I love it for one, if you are, if you have a little cute title, which is how we design our title cards. Oh, I didn't get those out yet, but you could use it, right? I'm sure there's something in here. I don't know yet because I haven't opened it. That's Friday, by the way. Friday's event is the Picture Perfect event for Kiwi Club members, and we're going to go through the kits and opportunities. I have not had a chance to do it yet because we're going to go through it together on Friday. So that will be fun to go through that process of how to decide what to scrapbook with the Kiwi Club kits. So if you haven't signed up for that event yet, that's Friday, mark your calendars. And for those of you that are club members, join me on Friday. I look forward to it. I can't wait to play with this kit. And that's always starts with deciding what I'm going to create with the kit. The other thing I really love about Travel 4T is I think it's a great minimal place that has, enough little character to it that you could add some journaling on this. I love giving when I add little journaling or tidbits, unless it's this really long layout or a story, but most of the part, the pictures tell a story. So for me, a lot of times when I'm adding journaling, it's a lot of places, people, dates, little thought process, moments of quick impressions or something like that. And I love the Travel 4T for that opportunity to add a cute little something in the journaling aspect to your page, but in a cute little shape. I think that's what's really fun about Travel 4T or 2T as well, is that I can see this being a perfect opportunity to just put a place and a date, which clearly in the traveling realm of memories that we make, that's often the case. Where were we? What was the date we took this trip? Things like that. So little things like that are super helpful in the journaling thing. But you can see that you don't have to overcomplicate it as far as like adding so many bits and pieces. Now, if you want to, this is where you could throw in a little bit more into the mix, as long as it doesn't overwhelm you. You know what type of individual that you are. If you easily get overwhelmed, then minimize how many sets you're pulling into kind of your working space. And then start with a few. And then once you kind of get settled on, okay, I'm feeling, like on this, then you can say, well, do I want to take the time to maybe see what other opportunities or design options there are? And you could maybe throw in some other things to kind of see, one, if it fits inside of what you already created, right? Or if it inspires something else. Because I looked at this arrow, guys. This is the first time I'm pulling these little guys out. But I just looked at this and I thought, oh my gosh, how cute. I don't know if I want to, how cute would that be, where the arrow is holding, like being that kind of anchor for your photos. I don't know if I would actually add, so see how instantly I threw that in and it started to spark different ideas. I don't think I'd actually add a border back to back in this case, because it won't show much of it anyways. Once you add those photos, a lot of that would be designed over, what? And I think it could be better to have a fatter border here to really kind of ground that design. So I'm going to let that strip, that straight arrow of this border. I don't even know what the sketch is yet. I haven't even taken a look. Oh, actually it's right here on the insert for the Kiwi Club. So those of you again that are Kiwi Club members, oh, that's a cute sketch. That's really cute. We're going to do that on the PJ Playdate, which is not this Friday, but the next Friday. So you could join me as I create, but I might take some of these designs that we're doing here right now in this spotlighted sets of event, and I'm going to pick my pictures out, and then I'm going to be set. I mean, I'm going to have a basic designs that I can duplicate because that's really fun. That's super cute. So that might be a go-to for me. I really love that, how it kind of anchors the look. And I'd probably add something like this, and then even more pictures, because you know what? When we travel, of course, you always, like, I have the most pictures when you're on a trip, right? Because there's so much to see, sightseeing, there's so many opportunities. And so naturally, when I have, you know, travel memories that I'm trying to scrapbook, they usually are quite a bit that I'm trying to accomplish in that. I was just looking, thinking I'd do maybe even a straight row of pictures here. And if you want to break up your pictures with design elements, I don't know, I'm just going to wing it here for a moment. Hopefully you guys aren't, I'm not boring it too much in that, hopefully, but this is exciting. I always love just seeing what you can create. And again, lowering that pressure and just allowing yourself to play with that. Sorry, I was looking for another 3x3, but I can't find it. This is why I like to have 2 sets of the mini photos and photo sets, because I range from 2 pictures to like 13 pictures on a 2-page spread. And I think that's one of the things that for me personally, I really loved as we explored this Kiwi's way of scrapbooking and the Kiwi style, is that it allows you to expand as far as 1 picture or 2 pictures to 13 pictures. I can't find the other 3x3. That's okay. I'm going to put this 3x4 here and just kind of fill in that spot. So I can
Susan, I think it's on your top left.
Huh? Oh, yes, you're right. I did use it up there. Let's do this then. Let's shift it so we can visually see it together. Thank you. All right. What I was going to share, sometimes with these photo blocks, you can do little accent designs, right? So just imagine with me, a photo trimmed down, a photo trimmed down, a photo trimmed down. This is a really cute little color block where you cut it maybe out of the yellow paper or, right, something like this. And then you pop up a little plane on that and you put the little date or something on that. So not every photo, but a strip of something to kind of anchor that design. And then I'm going to come over here and we're going to clean this side up because I'm going to see where I was inspired by this, and I'm going to see kind of what the flow happens over on the second side of this page and see where that kind of transforms into. Again, I can do side. I could choose to do a cross. These will match up on one end. I think it's actually going to be this end. So if I chose to do an across, I'd probably take this and adjust those designs. Like so, I put the 3B on the left and the 3A, in this case from McKay Blvd, on the right, and bring that down. Oh, there's so many opportunities. Like I just want to play with that arrow in so many different ways. So cute. And you get this also really cute globe. It's of course larger than this globe. You can layer those together. That's what the great thing about different sizes of any type of design is, that you get a little bit more substance when you add the layers. And if layering is kind of a skill set you're still growing into or want to grow into, the designer templates really help from the layering aspect of things too. It really helps accomplish layering easily so that you can quickly, you know, create gorgeous scrapbooking pages, but without that like bulk. Because again, the designer templates are created to take like advantage of the paper and the patterns that we have in our stashes as scrapbookers. So yeah, so you can kind of do something like that. I think I might even, I like the globe, the icon of a globe. It's very, very cute and trendy, I think, super fun. And I love these little cutouts in this one just to enhance that a little bit or not enhance it. It depends on where you want to go with it. You can keep it, you can cut it just one shape out of that. Anyways, I won't go too much into that. Sorry, my mind's just looking at for opportunities, but we will go over that in the PJ Playdate. So for sure. All right. So again, we're just going to throw some photos in. Maybe do 2 sizes, kind of like the staircasing happening here. You could keep it tucked in like this. You can mirror that on the other side, or you could adjust it a little bit just to kind of add a little bit more variety and movement. Great little opportunity for something there. I love this arrow. I think it's just fun. It doesn't, I don't know if you're one. I've had somebody ask me this before, like they I don't know, this was a while ago. I remember doing a demo a long time ago. And someone was like, it drives me crazy when an arrow's not pointing to anything. I totally get that, that makes sense. But for me, I've just always looked at arrows as kind of elemental. But sometimes I look for those opportunities where the arrow's like really pointing to something and bringing a spotlight to it. So if that's the case, then treat arrows that way. Other ways, just treat them as a design element that adds a pop of color and design to your thing. I can tell you right now, when I just took another look at this, I don't like that both sides of this is arrow heavy. So I would probably take one of these arrows and find it over here, maybe an opportunity over here, but I didn't like that it was arrow heavy. And sometimes you don't see that until you start, step back for a moment. What if I did like a cute little photo thing here, kind of added that tuck factor here, and kind of late. We could do that with a little something there. See, again, you really could go full on overload of pictures, which for me in travel, I think it would make sense for situations like occasions like that. And you can see I'm just kind of using what I have here. I don't want my photos to be exactly 3x4, but I'm going to use them for that visual aid to help me in this case. And then I might feel tempted to kind of fill in all these other things, and you can test it. But if it starts over right, then avoid that temptation and just call it quits and say, I'm good. This works. This is a really good design. I'm going to go with it. Oh my gosh, you guys, we could keep at this all day if you wanted to. I could just go again and again and again and create another layout. But for the most part, this is kind of the play to create process, of course. I hope one of these ideas, whether that was just using the spotlighted sets again, which is McKay Blvd and Tiny Travel. If you don't have those into your set and you love them, then make sure to get them during the month of May. They're 10% off, or if you're a club member, you're going to get 20% off. So a little bit more than your normal membership discount. So definitely take advantage of that on McKay Blvd and Tiny Travel. Okay. And then, of course, I just want to give you that friendly reminder, because May can be there can be a lot happening in May. I know how much can happen in life, but if you make the time, it's surprising how things work out. So make sure to put it on your calendar. Join me next Friday. For those of you that are club members, we're going to do the picture perfect. We're going to plan what pictures we're going to scrapbook, which really help make the time when you actually sit down to scrapbook just so much easier and more enjoyable as well, because you're going to be able to just jump straight into that creating process, which is really where a lot of that enjoyment comes from, is seeing it start to transform in front of your eyes as you go from start to finish with creating those pages. So that's the next Friday after that. That's the third Friday. And my golly, again, we got to get those things on the calendar, because before we know it, the month is over. So you want those times to kind of enjoy that scrapbooking process, and so that you can have that energy and the renewal and all of those other wonderful hope, happiness, and health that it brings into your life. All right. So I think that's the journal gist. If you're not a club member, I know I talked about club members a lot, but if you're not a club member and you're interested in completing some pages every month and just getting more out of your scrapbooking overall, the scrapbooking experience overall, whether that's through the products, ideas, and events that we offer here, make sure to sign up. If you sign up before the 20th, you'll actually be able to join us in all of these events for the month of May that I'm talking about, and also get your hands on these adorable travel themed templates if you're just wanting the templates, or you can go the Premier Kit with the templates and the paper. So lots of fun things that we'll be creating this month using those, but for the most part, there's so much opportunity just in the 2 spotlighted sets. So hopefully that helps. Do we have any questions? Did I miss anything, Sonia? Let me know if I did.
Good. Everyone loves focusing on a few sets and how wonderful it all looks.
Yeah, I'm going to take a snapshot of this myself before I clean it up, because I think I'm just going to utilize this design. I just kick-started into my design for the PJ Playdate. So I'm really hoping for those of you that join me at the PJ Playdate, we'll see, we'll get enough accomplished. I mean, I usually always shoot for the 3 2-page layouts. So 6 pages, let's do it every month. Make that consistently in your life. And I promise you'll see the effect of it, not just in the finished quality, but also in your own health, hope, and happiness. A lot of joy to be found in those, the hobbies that we enjoy. And of course, we love scrapbooking here at Kiwi Lane. There's so much benefit from it. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the community and keep playing to create. Bye now.